So I have very limited knowledge about MS, and so that's why I want to have you on the show today, is kind of peel back the curtain, because I feel like a lot of society doesn't truly know. I mean, we hear it in the news and stuff like that, but can you kind of break it down, like what your experience has been like? And I know it's individual experiences, right? So not everybody has the same kind of symptoms and stuff like that. And
Truly, it's what they call a snowflake disease. There are lots and lots of snowflakes, but none of them look exactly the same as the other. And so I may have the same symptoms as somebody else. I may have experienced some of the things that somebody else has, but we're not identical. MS is a central nervous system disease. It will affect the brain primarily. It affects the spinal cord, and it affects the optic nerve. I've never had any affects to my optic nerve, but I do have what they call lesions in my brain and in my spinal cord. So that means it affects, of course, whatever region the active lesion is in my brain. It'll affect that possibly, and in my spine it'll affect my extremities. So the ones in my spine or in my cervical spine, my neck, those are the ones that I know have affected my hands and my feet.
so they get numb.
I get numbness and tingling. I get
Is it like when you sleep on
tremors.
your arm and then that tingle? Is it like that?
Yes.
Oh, that's annoying. I hate that.
Yes, it's much like that.
Yeah.
But it's there all the time. It doesn't go away.
Is it happening right now?
Luckily, I don't really have that sensation that I know of anymore in my hands. I primarily would have it in my right hand, but I have learned to adapt. And so there are times when I'll go, oh, I'm feeling a little different. But for the most part, I don't feel it in my hands. I will feel it in my feet, and that was my first symptom when I was 17. Looking back, when you're diagnosed, you look back and you go, wow, I've had symptoms for years. So I was a teenager when I first started to have symptoms of MS.
It took 18 years to finally be diagnosed?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And that's another thing. People of color have a hard time being diagnosed because it was known as an Anglo, female, Northern Hemisphere. Well, I've never lived in in a Northern Hemisphere. I'm not Anglo, and I'm a woman, but that doesn't. So at every program when I was first diagnosed, I'd raise my hand and I'd go, okay, so where do I fit in? Because I'm not this. And I had to tell my doctor when he looked at me in '99 and said, oh, you can't possibly have MS because you're not. And I said, well, can I tell you about American history? And he was like, oh, okay. So then when he had to tell me in 2003, well, you do have MS, he apologized. It was, I'm sorry. Because he knew he had done me a disservice by even those 4 years of not being on medication or anything. And when I was diagnosed, there were only 3 medications out there. There are 16 now. Really, I think 17 now. We just had one approved this week. So MS is changing.